And we are live, team. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Dad, where DAD is an acronym for Daily Agent Download. Team, I think it's safe to say that, entrepreneurship, real estate, entrepreneurship, and life in general just has a habit of just wearing us down. But we show up each and every day. We put forth our best foot. We put on our best mask or face. We do the best we can at any given day. And then it's always helpful to download at the end of the day, share some victories, share some pains, and hopefully walk away with some knowledge and better for having spent some time together. On today's topic, I'm going to be talking about sharing and, hopefully empowering us to deal with difficult clients without losing our mind. And most importantly, secondarily, without losing our license as well. And what brought this thought process to light today is I was dealing with an agent, and I had the privilege and the honor and the ability to support an agent who came across my desk today, and he was just going through it. He was going through a difficult one. This particular agent was scheduled to go on vacation 2 days from now, and he was in escrow with an extremely difficult client. And just a side note, we should always be as busy and productive as we are a day or two before going to on vacation, right? Doesn't it seem like just business gets so chaotic, and anything that could go wrong or anything that needs attention happens usually right before vacation? It's always interesting to me. Really, it doesn't. It's just the shortening of timeline and our own personal urgency. But in this particular case, this agent was really dealing with a difficult client, and he was newer in the business. I wouldn't say he's a new agent, but this applies to anyone, whether you're brand new in the business or you're a seasoned veteran. Sometimes we just have those clients that it's not always clients. It's just people in life that sometimes we can't pull the sense out of the nonsense. They're just operating on a whole nother level of just chaos, confusion, and just in their own little world. And the challenge is when we are working with these particular clients and we are leading them through a process of leadership, whether that's a sales cycle or a consulting session or something along those lines. Those that choose to march to the beat of their own drum and not work in harmony, for lack of better words, really create it challenging and make it challenging, and it starts to pull at our emotional capacities. It drains us, and really just has a ripple effect into every other aspect of our business. So I'm going to talk about a three-part framework today on how to deal with difficult clients, how to keep your peace of mind, how to keep things between the navigational beacons in regard to your licensing, whatever that industry may be, and ultimately how to come out the other side with a happy client, happy as can be, a successful closing. And if it is not a successful closing, at least you can walk away with your reputation intact, which is probably one of the most important things, and most important thing, with your mental wellness intact. So I want to start off with a thought that is really the center to this whole conversation, and that is people will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. People will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. And this is true in business, it's true in life, it's true in anything. If you allow yourself to be walked upon, overlooked, passed by, stepped on, controlled, people will do that. We have to set our own personal and professional boundaries when it comes to working with our clients. This is part of establishing our unique selling proposition right out the gate. It's not always, what can I do for you? But also the whole Jerry Maguire speech, help me help you. How can you help me lead you through this process? And this is where we get into a mutualistic situation or a beneficial relationship that benefits both parties in a professional realm. Your job, team, is to lead your clients through a process, specifically in real estate. Um, Most clients, I personally will give them a little bit of an emotional pass when we're dealing with a real estate transaction. I understand that when it comes to death, when it comes to divorce, when it comes to buying a house, when it comes to taxes, there's a few milestones in life. There's probably a couple others that I'm leaving out. There's a couple points in our life where we are under the most stress that we I don't want to say have ever been under, but it is a period of time where our stress is running in the higher limits. And you, me, anybody, our clients, when we're running in a stressful situation, we don't always behave in alignment with who we are in a normal non-pressure situation. So I go into every transaction with a bit of empathy and understanding, look, this client is going through a very stressful environment, a very stressful situation. They're looking to buy this house and they're super excited about it and they're emotionally attached to it, and there's holidays coming up and they're already decorating the house in their mind and they can see their family there, and God, they just want it. So when things don't start going wrong, they maybe will throw an adult temper tantrum. And you know what? Scratch it off and here's your pass for the day because I understand that you're emotionally vested in this. Or on a seller side of things, maybe they're looking at the dollars and cents and they really want that net, they want that bottom line, they're attached to that, or they need to get that house sold and they need to get off to another location and they're emotionally attached to it. And the reason I'm driving that point home is we need to understand first and foremost as we go into this where our clients are coming from. That way we can better understand their mindset, thereby help lead them through this process. It's not an excuse for them to use you as a doormat. It's not an excuse for them to be rude. It's not an excuse for them to step outside your personal boundaries or professional boundaries. But if you understand where they're coming from, then you can come from a place of compassion and empathy as you walk through these next 3 points. Number one, lead with logic, not emotion. I talked about that our clients are going to be emotional through this process. Our job, our role, our goal, and our mission in this process is to not be emotional. See, your job isn't to win speak, Jason. Your job isn't to win the emotional battles. Your job is to guide and facilitate the transaction. If your client is going to be emotional through the process, that's fine. Let them be emotional for a moment and then talk them down, lead them through your own tonality, your own behavior, your own leadership. Don't buy into it. Don't escalate. Don't mirror them as they go to an emotional rant. Bring them back down to a logical baseline. When clients get reactive, manipulative, or dramatic, you don't meet them on their level. You bring that level down. Have you ever been dealing with somebody and you've just been so upset that you're out of your mind, you're being a little dramatic and you just want to win this argument, or you want to reinforce a point, or I want this amount of money for the sale of my house or I'm just pulling it off the market, and all logic goes out the window, right? Without any reasoning of, well, the house actually needs to be sold because we have to relocate for a job transfer, and yes, we want to get top dollar for the home, but you can't just pull it off the market if you're not going to get what you want. See, folks, we've been there. We lead with emotion versus logic. Our job is to bring our clients off of that emotional hill and bring them back to the logical side of things. We control what we can with our tone, our words, our actions, and most importantly, with facts and leading with logic, helping folks see the bigger picture. They're maybe just caught up for a moment in this particular transaction, or there may be a series of uncomfortable moments in which they are a challenging client. But again, our job is not to meet them on that level of emotion. We don't have to mirror and match them on that level of emotion. Our job is actually to bring that emotion down, bring it back to logic, and then lead with logic, not the emotion of the moment. Calm is our competitive advantage. Calm is our competitive advantage when leading our clients through a transaction. Number two, stick to the contract. The contract is your playbook. Sometimes when emotions get running hot in a real estate transaction, maybe a buyer and seller are butting heads. Maybe a seller is butting heads with the buyer's agent. Maybe the buyer's agent is butting heads with you. Maybe the buyer's agent is butting heads with somebody at home and they're carrying it into the transaction. I don't know the situation. I don't claim to even understand human nature or behavior, why people act the way they do. But when they do act the way they do, and they start saying, well, you need to do this or that. Fair enough, Mr. and Mrs. Agent. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let's take a look at the contract. Section 123 ABC of the contract says we have X amount of days to do this, or you have Y amount of days to respond to this, or if you don't respond to this, this is our process. What I mean by that, team, is specifically in the state of California, we have some of the longest real estate contracts, but there's pages and pages upon pages of real estate disclosures, contracts, and if thens that's, meaning if this happens, then that happens. And here's our timeline associated with this. So when the emotions run hot, we can disregard those emotions. We can come back to a place of logic. And when we're dealing with logic, we can dig in and focus on the contract and use the contract as our playbook. When we're using our contract as the playbook, emotion is now a mute point. It no longer is a factor in the transaction. The only thing we have to do is lead ourselves, maintain emotional discipline in regard to the emotions that are running hot, stick to logic, stick to the contracts, and this is how we can lead through the process while keeping our peace of mind. And speaking of contracts, maintaining contractual integrity in dealing with our clients and maintaining those navigational beacons in regard to our license and not stepping out of line or doing anything wrong. So that's number two, stick to the contract. It is your playbook. You're going to want to use phrases like, let me refer to the contract. It's not, no, you're wrong when somebody says something. It's like, you know what? I hear what you're saying. And what I'm hearing you say is A, B, and C. Is that correct? Okay, let me refer to the contract because I think it's X, Y, and Z. But let's reference the contract. Or what I'm hearing you say is XYZ, but based on the agreement that you signed, it's ABC. Did you have a different interpretation of the contract? This helps you realign the conversation throughout the process. So I just want to bring that back that the contract is your playbook and it helps remove emotion and really keeps you rooted. Okay, last point on this, on the 3 points of, well, I call it a three-part framework on how to lead difficult clients with clarity and power, is that's the formal title. Number 3 is CYA. And if you don't know what the A is, it's cover your insert A. But we need to cover our butts throughout this process. And how do we do this? We document everything. So we should be doing this anyway. Conversation logs, contracts, obviously, agreements. If it's not written, it didn't happen. No verbal agreements. Make sure that everything is written. And if you have a conversation with your client or another agent, reiterate that conversation via email. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Agent. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client. I just want to reiterate what we talked about on the phone earlier. We mentioned that we were going to do one, two, three, and five, six, seven. Can you please confirm? See, we need to have a running documentation of the conversation. So every time you speak with a client, especially a difficult client, send a recap email. The recap is not for them, it's for you. It's for your record keeping, for your peace of mind, and to reference that when they start going off script down the path, down the road, and you can say, remember, this is what we talked about. This is what we agreed upon when you were level headed before you lost your mind. Um, if it's not in writing, it didn't happen, especially in real estate, but in life in general and in business in general and entrepreneurship. Yes, I do miss a day. I think I was born a couple generations too late, and I think it would have been an amazing time when business was done with a handshake and a person's word was their bond. But uh, we don't live in that reality anymore. You may work and live and behave to those ethical standards, which I implore you if you do, and I certainly hope that you do. Uh, but as far as contractors concerned in agreements, if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. So make sure that everything is documented and everything is writing. And understand, team, we're not being paranoid. We're being proactive. Your license, your commission, your reputation, they're all protected by your proactiveness. So don't feel like you're being paranoid, you're being proactive. And there's a very professional way that you can do this. And it, again, goes back to contractual integrity, one, and two, keeping your logic and keeping your head about yourself through this process and not reacting to the emotional wants, needs, whims of the emotional moment. By dealing with these three, not dealing, by following these 3 Basic principles or this framework, you're going to mitigate about 90% of your challenges with clients. Most of them that spill over based on emotions are usually of the moment or are from a period of misunderstanding. Misunderstandings, those are usually mitigated by reiterating or referencing the contract. A period of a moment or emotional overflow typically subside with time, and then as the raging waters recede and calm down, then we're able back get back and reference one, the contract, as well as what is in written documentation, and just operating from a point of logic. Just common sense tends to prevail. So our goal and our role is to weather that storm rather, and just weather it with logic and not being emotional. You almost have to find that like robotic switch in you and kind of turn off your emotions and realize that, your heart may be for your family and your mind needs to be for your business. Don't bring your heart and your emotions into this. Yes, care about your clients, but don't get emotionally vested so far that you lose good judgment through your emotions and you lose your logic. Your head is for your business, your heart is for your family. All right, bringing it home. A few talking points and points that I just want to drive home for you as I reference my notes here is, remember, team, you're not an employee for your clients. You're a licensed professional guiding them through a complex situation. Act as such. Act as the leader in the transaction. Guide them through the process. Don't be emotionally wishy washy. Wishy washy? Yeah, is that a good word? Don't be emotionally manipulated. Stick to your core, stick to your moral compass, stick to the contract, stick to your ethics training, and stick to logic. Don't allow emotions to dictate the moment. And remember, you are working with them, not for them. You are leading them through a very complex process. And most importantly, understand that when clients try to control the process, it's usually coming from a place of ego or it's coming from a place of fear, and they're emotionally reacting and they're grasping. They feel like things are out of control and they're trying to grab the wheel. So if they're trying to grab the wheel, the very first thing that you're going to want to ask yourself is, why do they feel this way? And don't just automatically default to they're out of their mind. They very well may be, but go to, am I reiterating my points? Am I making myself clear? Have I set proper expectations? Are they able to follow along with what the next step is in the series of events? Are they able to anticipate what is next to help control their own emotions? Remember, team, they're going through it. So if you've set proper expectations and you have future paced them and you are in communication, then understand that they're still lashing out of one, ego, or two, fear. Understand that, but still maintain your professional integrity, maintain your logic, put everything in writing, and keep everything driven from the perspective of logic, not emotion. Last point, they hired a leader. Your clients hired a leader, whether they hired you to sell their house or whether they hired you to represent them on the purchase of a house and negotiate on their behalf. They hired a leader. That's you. Be that leader, act like that leader, show up as that leader. And being a leader means that when they are start acting out of line and they are emotionally controlled by the moment, a true leader keeps their head, keeps their calm, and leads their client through the process with strong, stoic leadership. With that said, team, I'm going to wrap this up. I want to thank you for joining us on this live today. If you're missing the replay, and if you're missing this live and you're watching the replay, drop a comment down below. And as a reminder, hit the bell on the subscribe button. It will ping you and it'll notify you when I'm actually going live. The goal is to really do these on an ongoing basis every day, Monday through Friday. There's a ton of value and a ton of information that we can learn from one another. And most importantly, if you're out there on an island, metaphorically, not physically, if you're not physically on an island, good for you. If you're metaphorically on an island and you feel alone in your business and you need support, and you need growth, and you need mentorship and education and knowledge, and you just need somebody to either pat you on the back or kick you in the butt, join my tribe, join my team. I would love to have you be a part of our team, a part of our tribe. We're looking to grow, we're looking to expand. And with that said, team, if you're interested, just drop tribe down in the comments. We'll reach out to you and we'll get in contact. I want to thank you for your time today. I want to remind you that you are powerful leaders. And as long as you're following the framework that we talked about, and as long as you're doing everything contractually correct, and you're coming from a position of moral high ground and a strong moral compass, and staying in line with the contracts and the provision of the contracts, don't be swayed by emotions. Stick to your logic. You're a powerful being. I want to remind you you're powerful. I believe in you. I certainly want you to believe in yourself. With that said, team, have a happy, healthy, productive rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. Bye bye.